have the yen current account, so major higher time frames, and a bit bearish. And then I will monitor the Chinese CPI year over year and a bit bullish. And that you want to...
Okay.
Sorry?
Sorry, just explain a bit about what we're doing. We mark for 5-minute charts. If it's going to impact a 5-minute chart, we mark it as major. If it's likely to impact a higher time frame, like H4 time frames and above, 4 hours, then we mark it with an H4, because some of the news that comes out isn't that important and is unlikely to impact on, say, if you're trading daily charts, but a lot of them will impact the smaller time frames. And we also mark them with a bias going into the news. And Eusebio, do you want to explain a little bit about that? You have the mouse if you want to take over.
Yes, indeed. Thanks. For example, the current account for the yen is an important news release. So in the case the news will be released with an important deviation compared to the forecast, we can expect important movement in the yen. But before the news, during the day, until the news release, it is easy to define most of the time a good idea where the yen will go, comparing the forecast with the previous month's release. And so if the forecast is not smaller, because it's not always smaller, it is worse than the previous months, so the context will be bearish for the yen. And if the forecast is better than the previous, then the yen would be strengthening during the day until the news release. And so this is what the bias we indicate here, bearish or bullish, means. So it's a bias defined by the comparison between the forecast and the previous month's release. So, and this bias is valid until the news release. When we have the news release, then the bias must be reevaluated on the basis of the release data. And this is valid for any of the news we consider in our specific economic calendar. So,
thanks, Eusebio. And I know that sounds really simple, but it can be complicated because you may have several news items before there which saying bullish and bearish and neutral. Indeed. And so you've got to evaluate all of them to come up with your own particular bias. Eusebio also supplies bias information on a daily basis, which as we're a business, you can subscribe to it. And our regular charts also give an idea on what the bias is like at a particular time based on technical indicators as well. So we'll be able to show you a little bit about that. That's Eusebio's companion or bias indicator that he uses. And let me see. Okay, we'll come back to that, Baldev, about the corona. But it is having an impact. Okay, so we do this every week. So people ask us, why do we pay so much attention to this? And this is particularly so that we protect our account. It does take a while to go through, but we do it so that you learn how to do it yourselves, so that when we disappear, and we will, that you're able to carry on yourself and make your own decisions. So this is a business. You have to run it as one, and if you're going to run it as a business, you need to be able to get the information for yourselves. So next one, Eusebio. So that was a PPI.
And so the PPI also is to be monitored, and the bias is bullish too.
Okay.
And that's it for Sunday. On Monday, we will have the Swiss CPI month-over-month. Major higher time frames bearish.
Okay.
Then let's see the speech by Bowman. Due to deliver a speech titled Empowering Community Banks, let's forget, not important at all. Then Harker, a bit later. Due to speak about the economic outlook at the University of Delaware. No, let's forget. And that's it for Monday. So Monday, no news except the Swiss CPI.
Okay.
On Tuesday.
This week there's about 80 news items, so it's a quieter week than normal.
On Tuesday, we have the pound preliminary GDP quarter-over-quarter, major higher time frames and bearish. But we have also the pound GDP month-over-month, which is major higher time frames, but bullish. This will be interesting. And then we have the pound manufacturing production month-over-month, major and bullish. And then we have, what else? Let's see the speech by Lagarde.
Okay.
She talks a lot, Christine. Due to deliver opening remarks at the presentation of the 2018 ECB annual report. No, let's forget.
So you're back on first name basis with her. Okay.
Then we have Powell testifying. Testifying. So this will be monitored. Yeah.
Okay.
So simply monitor. And, no surprise, but we never know.
So what happens when you monitor? Just be aware of it and keep an eye on it, essentially.
Yeah, depending on the news release or the event, so this can create some additional volatility in the market, but no change in the market sentiment, in fact, most of the time.
Okay.
Then we will have Carney speaking, probably also testifying. Yeah, testifying also before the House of Lords Economic Affairs Committee, so monitor.
And Haskell.
Oh, Haskell is not an important one. Monetary policy in the intangible economy, so let's forget. Quarles, similarly, let's forget. Cash carry, similarly, let's forget.
Okay.
Then we have a big one with the Kiwi, so put it in red, major plus, higher time frame plus, so the official cash rate, neutral. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand monetary policy statement, Reserve Bank of New Zealand rate statement, and then the press conference.
Okay, and the ones that are marked in red are ones that we would stay up for, actually actively monitor. There's been times when Eusebio has stayed up all night, like 9 hours, waiting for the yen to come out. And the yen is pretty nasty sometimes, because it doesn't actually say when it's going to announce the news. It just says, I'm tentative. So I remember one time when you stayed up 9 hours and then made several hundreds of pips from the announcement that came out. But you had to watch it all that time. Yep. Okay. And... Okay.
No, you can forget the Chinese news, Chris.
Okay.
And that's it for Tuesday. On Wednesday.
Scrolling.
Yes. Thank you. On Wednesday, so monitor the German 10-year bond auction for the traders who trade bond.
Okay.
Then we have Harker, yeah.
It's jumping around now. Okay.
Due to pick up the economic outlook in Pennsylvania, no, let's forget.
I'll just scroll down because he's likely to jump the page. Powell.
Then we have Powell testifying again, so we have to monitor that.
Is it gone? There he is, Eusebio.
Yeah, to testify on the semi-annual monetary policy report. So, so it is a testifying. So it is important because he has to justify the decision of the Fed of the previous week. So, monitor it indeed.
Okay, scrolling down.
Then monitor the crude oil inventories for those of you who trade crude oil, the 10-year bond auction for the US dollar, and I will monitor the federal budget balance. Then we have or talking, probably also at, not low, or at 2:10 p.m.
I'm getting there.
Due to testify on the monetary policy statement before finance and expenditures. So we have to monitor it, indeed.
Okay, scrolling down.
Yeah. I will monitor also the Aussie MI inflation expectations and to be defined.
Where are we? Can't see it.
7 p.m. A few lines lower.
Oh, I already have it. Monitor,
yeah.
Sure.
No, major. Monitor, yeah, monitor. Yep. And to be defined for the bias. Now, low speaking, a speech we can forget. We participate in a panel discussion.
Okay.
Then I will monitor the EU economic forecast. In the context of the Brexit negotiations, it may be interesting to follow. Then we have the US dollar CPI month over month, major higher time frames and neutral. And the core CPI month over month, major higher time frames, so neutral too. Normally the CPI for the US dollar, it's a type B news, so it should not be a major higher time frame. But in the context, in the present context, so it may be more important than usual. So I prefer to consider it as a major higher time frame. Then monitor natural gas storage and 30-year bond auction.
Done.
Then we have William speaking, but probably not important at all.
Hey, he's not New Zealand. We misread. Where are we?
No,
Here we go.
From the Fed, yeah. Panel discussion, let's forget. And that's it for Thursday. So on Friday,
yep,
we have the Euro German preliminary GDP quarter over quarter major higher time frame neutral. We have for the Euro the flash GDP quarter over quarter major higher time frame neutral. We have the Euro trade balance major higher time frame neutral. We have the US dollar core retail sales month over month major bearish. We have the US dollar retail sales month over month major and let's see, neutral. Then we have at 10 a.m. the US dollar preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment major bearish, and the preliminary University of Michigan inflation expectations, so to be defined. And then we have Mester speaking, but probably not important. Due to speak about payment modernization at the University of South Florida in Sarasota. No, not important at all.
Okay, so the question is, how do we use these? I've already said that we've marked them with majors and H4s and the bias. When this information comes out, and I'll send an email out to tell people to check out the NewsWatch list, and it stays up on our site. Where's my page? Let's come back to it. It's maxtradingsystem.com. Get the Astra, but it'll be called NewsWatch, and there's a button at the top with the NewsWatch on it. This is the new site. It's not the old one, but right down the bottom here is a list of information on how to use it. So what to do and what we do when these come out. And it's down here. We don't place trades before the times, and we take profits before the news events come out. So we're neutral when the news kicks in, and then we take advantage of anything that's coming out on it. Different pairs have different impacts around the place, so you can read that and figure that out for yourselves. We go into it in more detail on other scrolling parties and on the course itself, but that's the information for you, and it's on our regular NewsWatch page. And what we've got over here is part 2 of the NewsWatch, is to figure out the top 10 list. And so what I do is I grab the information from the websites of the 28 lots, 28 pairs, and then I sort them like so. Can I get them all on? Voice is a bit croaky. Okay, so here are the 28 pairs, and I've sorted them by dollar range, not the pip range, but by the dollars, because some pips are worth more than others. For instance, the pound Swiss has got their pips are worth more dollars than the Euro Aussie, and so it takes less pips to make up more dollars on the list. Yep. Okay. Anyway, I've highlighted them all and picked these ones as the top 10 and shifted them over here to the NewsWatch sheet. Eusebio, do you want to go through this afterwards to save a bit of time? And I meant to bring this up beforehand.
No, we can do that now because it will be very fast. We don't have a lot of major news.
So what we've got so far supplied you with is the top 10 list out of all the 28 or sort of 60 or so pairs that we have. I whittle it down to 28 pairs, and then we get the top 10 out of those major pairs. And then what Eusebio is going to do now is match up the pairs here with the news coming out each day to give us a daily news, a daily pair selection. So rather than watching 8 pairs all at once, you only get to watch sometimes 6 or 7 pairs. It gets a bit much sometimes, but at least it narrows down the amount of work that you have to do, and you don't need to be jumping around all over the show, and you don't need to be watching something that looks like this, the Aussie Kiwi, which makes very little money compared to, say, the pound Aussie, which makes a lot of money. So if you're trading, it's best to pick the low-hanging fruit. There's other things to consider, but these ones here are moving the most and are likely to produce the best amount of money in the amount of time that you've got, as opposed to waiting for the Aussie dollar to do something, because it takes about 4 times the amount of movement for the Aussie dollar, Aussie Kiwi, to make as much money as the pound Aussie does. So you've got to consider that. Okay, so Eusebio, for Sunday we have the yen.
The yen, yes.
And on Monday we have nothing. So just the yen.
Monday we have the Swiss.
Oh yes, okay. Sorry, I didn't bold it enough. Yep.
Okay, so the first pair to consider will be the pound yen.
Yep.
Then the pound Swiss. And then the pound Kiwi or pound Aussie.
Okay. Okay, for Tuesday, because the trade day ends at 5 p.m. New York time, which is somewhere around this area, we look at what's left over from Monday, and there's nothing. And for Tuesday, we have the pound.
The pound, yes.
And these ones down here are after the New York close, so we've only got the pound.
The pound. So, okay, it will be easy here. So the first pair will be the pound Kiwi or pound Aussie.
Yep.
Then the pound yen.
Yep.
And then the pound US dollar.
Okay. Actually, the pairs for this week are pretty much the same as last week. It's just a little bit of swapping around between them. Like the CAD and the Swiss were reversed, and the yen and the US dollar were reversed. But apart from that, they're all the same. So just a little thing on the side. So leftovers from Tuesday are the Kiwi.
The Kiwi, okay.
And nothing on Wednesday.
Okay. So the first choice will be the pound Kiwi or pound Aussie.
Yep.
I would like to add the Euro Kiwi, Chris. So, yeah. Let's add
3.
the Euro Kiwi.
3.
No. On the second line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. inside of the pound US dollar. So euro kiwi, and then the pound yen.
Okay. So the euro kiwi doesn't even. Okay.
No, it was the next pair after the euro pound.
Ah, down here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And so we're looking at end of Wednesday for Thursday. We have nothing at the end of Wednesday.
Okay.
And for Thursday we have the US dollar.
The US dollar, yes.
And C2.
Okay. So the first pair will be the pound US dollar.
Yep.
Then the pound kiwi or pound Aussie.
Yep.
And then the pound yen.
Okay. And for Friday, we have leftovers from Thursday, nothing.
Okay.
And we have the euro.
The euro. Okay.
The US dollar.
The US dollar. Okay.
And that's it.
That's it. Okay. So we will have the pound US dollar. Then the euro kiwi or euro Aussie. And then the euro pound.
Okay.
It's not usual. It's not usual to have that list of pairs.
No, it's a bit yes, I kind of mixed it up. Okay. So what I'll do once this session is finished is upload this to the website, and then I generally send out a blast to people to say, hey, the NewsWatch is available, come and get it, and you get to watch it each day. Just log on to our site. When you get onto our site, NewsWatch, there will be a link to say, hey, I want to subscribe to the NewsWatch list, and that'll give you access to it. Hey, Tony. And anything else? I don't think there is. We've kind of done the NewsWatch list. Oh, sorry, there is one more thing. No, I've been through it. I normally do an incantation about majors and H4 plus and bearish, but we've sort of splattered that through the description. So if nobody has any questions, and if you're watching this and you're a member of the public and you don't have access to our chat area, the chat area is only for Maxes, then you're welcome to ask the questions through the GoToWebinar area. I can't see anything there, so okay. Oh, looks like Craig's already put it in there. So okay, okay. First choice, second choice. Oh, sure, Kurt. Sorry, I've forgotten about that. Eusebio, do you want to explain that bit?
Yes, indeed. So the first show, there are two lines with the first show. There are the pairs which we have indeed absolutely to monitor and to trade if we have valid setup on this pair. If you want to follow other pairs, so you have then the third line, which is the second choice, as an alternative. And so this allows most of the time to choose the pairs corresponding to the session you are trading. For example, if you trade during the ASEAN session, you can take all the pairs containing the yen, the kiwi, or the Aussie. If you trade during the US session, you can take all the pairs containing the US dollar or the CAD. We don't have the CAD this time. And if you trade during the European session, you can take all the pairs containing the pound, the Swiss, or the euro. And so that way, there is a choice which is based on the news release, which is based on the top 10, and you can focus on the pairs which are the most interesting during your own trading session. So.
Okay, Thanks, Kurt. And just ask us any of the questions. And Craig has put our chat room link into the GoToWebinar chat area if you want to join in. There's no password today. Okay. What else have we got? Bulldeb has asked, can you comment about the coronavirus scare and how it might affect things around the world?
In fact,
big ask.
No. The answer will be very easy. When there is such an event which happens from time to time, in order to have an idea of what the impact on the market could be, so always refer to the past. In the last 10 years, 20 years, we have had several other epidemics, like Craig has mentioned some of them, are the coronavirus, because coronavirus has several forms, but also the SARS, Ebola, avian flu, and so on. And in the past, these epidemics has had no impact at all in the economies of the countries and in the market. And so I'm ready to bet that this epidemic with the coronavirus will have no impact at all in the economies and in the market, despite the fact that some people may say that there will be an impact. Even the Fed is explaining that there may be an impact. But I think that this contributes to create some fears, and I think it is intended. Why? I don't know yet. But if you consider the reality of what is happening, of course, for the people who are touched and who die, this is dramatic, and for their families, it's dramatic. But if you consider the number of victims nowadays, it's around 600 to 1,000 people. We don't know exactly. And not all the touched people will die. The fear is we don't have a vaccine for the moment. The weakest people being the people being sick or being old. But if you consider, for example, and this is more dramatic, but nobody talks about that, if you consider the seasonal flu, the seasonal flu kills over the world every year, on average, 500,000 people, 500,000. So between 300 and 800 in general. And so nobody talks about that. The seasonal flu has a more important impact in the market than the coronavirus. And so I think that the coronavirus is a pretext to create some fears for some other reason. But for me, it will have no impact in the market. So, and you can see the 2 days the stock market in USA has dropped, the market has recovered very, very quickly and is at a higher high. We have never seen such higher highs in the market for them. So for me, no impact in the market.
Okay, and sitting down here in New Zealand and Australia, we can't export stuff to China anymore, and we rely on about 1/3 of our GDP for China, and also tourism. So we've got not getting any tourists coming out of China. We can't export stuff to China, so it is actually impacting on us, Eusebio.
Yeah, the impact, we may have some marginal impact in some countries, but if you consider the economy of Australia or the economy of New Zealand for the world economy, it's peanuts. So, and the forex does not necessarily focus on the economy of a very specific market, so of a very specific country.
So that's our peanuts, Eusebio, and they're important to us.
Yeah, important for you in New Zealand, or important for Australia, but we are trader, or we are not trader. When we are trader, we need to stay objective. And so the objective is said that for the forex, the impact will be small, or not at all.
Okay. Okay, so that was the foreign exchange market you were mostly talking about then, Eusebio.
Yeah, but it's true for all the other markets. So,
okay.
But the impact may be completely different from one market to another when there is an impact. So.
Okay. Yeah, personally, I'm a bit sort of wondering why the huge crackdown on it when it's not as contagious as, say, measles. Its death rate isn't as high as anything else like measles or the flu, and yet they've closed down cities and really pulling out all the stops to contain this thing. So there could be a bit more going on underneath things. Anyway, enough. Yeah, Baldev, I agree. It is a little bizarre. There's some things we're not being told, but all will get washed out. Okay.
Yeah, this is always the case with the communist countries. So they hide a lot of things. So what is really happening, we never know. And this is the consequence of the communist dogma. So they do not want to tell the truth for some reason. And so, well, this is what it is.
I don't think it's just communists, Eusebio. But anyway.
No. I'm not a con or a pro-communist. I observe simply what has happened in history. So.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So let's get off the conspiracy theory side of things. And does anybody have any other questions on the NewsWatch before we take off? I'll just save this before we destroy it.
But of course, it is always interesting to be prudent. And so, because there is no vaccine for the coronavirus for the moment, it is estimated that the vaccine will be available in around 18 months, perhaps a bit earlier. We don't know exactly when, but we have to observe, but calmly, we have to observe the evolution, and if the evolution worsen or not, and if it worsen fast or not. So, and this will give then a better idea of what will happen.
Not picking on Baldev, John. Okay. Okay. Right. So, okay. Coming up this week, we've got part 2 of the scalping session, and yep, you'll see a bit of the chart perhaps as it comes up. So there's part 2. If you still want to get on it, that's fine as well. That's open to the public and all maxes. ETF standard starts this week. This is our 67th set of courses. And we've done over 2,000. We've trained over 2,000 people so far. Kind of losing count. People keep changing their email addresses and disappearing, and after a while it just becomes impossible to find out how many we've actually got on the books still. And ETF Primer starts next week. I'm not too sure why we do them out of sync like that, but ETF Standard has got, this is the advert, our full profit acceleration and money management techniques in it. And to give you a very quick idea while I'm here, here's what, just a quick chart of what a primer can do on a movement. So this was oil back in 2017. There was a couple of entries here, and it produced a profit of 6% over that period. Whatever, if you were risking 1%. So it made 4,500 points out of that particular movement from two trades on it. Whereas when you're using the standard with its profit boosting, and with the scale-ins so that you're actually adding to the trades, also called reverse martingales, the profit is boosted to 19% as opposed to 6%. It's 4 times the simple buy and hold that the primer can do. And there's more action along the way. So if you didn't get in right at the very beginning, like down here, then there's still other opportunities that you can use to get into it. So, and with the max, a lot of the times you can get out very close to the end of the trend itself, a lot of the times. So that's just to give you an idea on the difference between the simple buy and hold, the primer course, and the standard. So just, okay.